The challenge from above. They came on a Tuesday. The sky above every major city on Earth suddenly filled with shimmering vessels that defied physics as humanity understood it. Ships that looked like liquid metal frozen in mid-flow, catching sunlight and reflecting it in impossible patterns. They positioned themselves with such precision that military analysts worldwide immediately understood the message. Resistance would be futile. Global defense networks went silent. Communication systems flickered. For 17 minutes, humanity held its collective breath. Then the broadcast began, simultaneously appearing on every screen on the planet, from military command centers to children's tablets. People of Earth announced a being whose form seemed to shift between solid and energy, its voice eerily perfect in every human language. We are the collective. We have observed your civilization's development for centuries. Your species has potential, though your technology remains quaint. Captain Maya Rodriguez watched the broadcast from the bridge of the U.S. Defiance, an aging battleship that had seen better days. At 45, she had weathered enough storms, both literal and political, to recognize a power play when she saw one. "They want us intimidated," she muttered to her XO, Commander Jackson. Jackson nodded. "It's working." The alien continued. "To evaluate your worthiness for inclusion in the galactic community, we propose a simple demonstration. 3 of your vessels against 3 of ours. A navigation challenge, a combat simulation, and a crisis response scenario. Should you perform adequately, we will share technologies that will advance your civilization by centuries." The United Nations Security Council debated for 48 hours. Some nations advocated immediate surrender. Others wanted to showcase Earth's most advanced prototype vessels. The debate grew heated until Rodriguez was summoned to address the emergency session. "They expect us to bring our shiniest toys," she said, standing before the assembled representatives. "They're counting on our insecurity, our need to impress. But from what I've observed of their broadcasts, their ships, and their communication patterns, the collective values perfection above all else. They expect us to follow their playbook." "What do you propose instead, Captain?" asked the Secretary General. Rodriguez smiled. "I propose we bring ships they'd never expect. Not our most advanced prototypes, but vessels with history, character, imperfections." Her proposal met immediate resistance. Dr. Elena Chen, Earth's leading quantum physicist, stood in opposition. "This is humanity's one chance to join the galactic community. We must showcase our best technology." "With respect, Doctor," Rodriguez countered, "this isn't about technology. It's about psychology. The collective has studied our conventional responses. They're counting on us being predictable." After hours of debate, the Security Council made their decision. Captain Rodriguez would lead Earth's response team with 3 vessels of her choosing. The scientific community was outraged. The military establishment was divided. But Maya Rodriguez had a plan. 3 days later, she stood in a massive underwater facility in the Mariana Trench, looking at the 3 ships she had selected. The U.S. Defiance, her own aging battleship. The Xueting, a Chinese vessel that had survived a devastating reactor malfunction 10 years earlier. And the Kilimanjaro, an African Union exploration ship with an experimental propulsion system that had never quite worked as designed. "These rust buckets," Dr. Chen had exclaimed when she saw them. "This is humanity's best hope." "No," Rodriguez had replied calmly. "Humanity's best hope is what's inside them." While the collective observed from orbit, believing they were watching Earth prepare its most advanced vessels, Rodriguez's team worked in the underwater facility, shielded from alien observation. The ship's exteriors remained deliberately worn, but their interiors underwent transformations that went beyond conventional engineering. Lieutenant Amir Kazemi, a pilot whose synesthesia had once been considered a liability, now sat at the helm of the Defiance, his neurological condition allowing him to perceive patterns in space that others couldn't see. On the Xueting, Commander Lin Wei supervised the installation of a quantum communication system designed by her twin brother, a system deemed too unstable for standard military use because it relied on human intuition rather than algorithmic precision. And aboard the Kilimanjaro, Dr. Kwame Osei finally had the freedom to implement his controversial adaptive entropy engine that conventional scientists had dismissed as theoretical fantasy. They expect us to be like them, Rodriguez explained to her assembled crews. Perfect, methodical, predictable. But humanity's greatest strength has never been perfection. It's adaptation, improvisation, the ability to fail, learn, and try again. On the final night before the challenge, Rodriguez found herself alone on the bridge of the Defiance. She ran her hand along a console that appeared outdated but contained processing power beyond anything publicly acknowledged. "You think technology is about perfection," she whispered to the absent collective. "You don't understand it's about evolution." A message flashed on her personal device, satellite imagery confirming the collective had deployed their 3 vessels for the challenge. Each alien ship was a marvel of engineering, sleek, symmetrical, and radiating an aura of technological superiority. Dawn arrived with theatrical precision. The collective vessel Eternal Harmony descended through the atmosphere, unveiling itself to Earth's assembled dignitaries and billions watching through live feeds. It was breathtaking, a living sculpture of crystalline materials that shifted and flowed while maintaining perfect structural integrity. By contrast, the Defiance rose from the Pacific with considerably less fanfare. Its hull, though freshly painted, showed the scars of past conflicts. Its lines were utilitarian rather than elegant, functional rather than beautiful. An interesting choice of vessel, Captain Rodriguez, came the voice of the collective representative, barely concealing contempt. "We anticipated you would showcase your best technology." Rodriguez stood on the Defiance's bridge, her hand-picked crew at their stations. "We're showcasing exactly what matters," she replied. "Shall we begin?" Humanity's answer. The first challenge materialized on their displays, a navigation trial through a nearby asteroid field that the collective had apparently repositioned for this purpose. The winning criteria combined speed, efficiency, and minimal energy expenditure. The Eternal Harmony launched first, its movement so smooth it seemed to slide through reality itself. The collective vessel navigated with mathematical precision, following a path so perfect it could only have been calculated through thousands of simulations. The international observers erupted in gasps and applause as the alien ship completed the course in what seemed an unbeatable time. Their navigation was flawless. Dr. Chen's voice came through on the United Nations Observation Channel. "Captain, perhaps we should reconsider." Rodriguez cut the feed with a gesture. "Prepare neural interface," she ordered. "Kazemi, you're up." Lieutenant Amir Kazemi settled into the modified helm station, neural interface electrodes connecting to his temples. Dr. Osei, temporarily assigned to the Defiance, took position at what appeared to be a standard engineering console, but was actually the adaptive entropy engine control system. "Remember," Rodriguez said quietly, "they expect us to follow their path, the mathematically optimal solution. They've never encountered adaptive navigation." The Defiance launched with a burst of conventional thrusters, exactly what the collective expected. For the first 30 seconds, it followed a predictable trajectory toward the asteroid field. Then Kazemi closed his eyes. His synesthesia transformed the sensor data into a symphony of colors and sounds that only he could perceive. The neural interface translated his intuitive responses directly to the ship's systems, bypassing the need for physical controls. The Defiance suddenly veered off the expected course, diving into what appeared to be a dangerous density of asteroids. "What is your vessel doing?" the collective representative demanded. Rodriguez didn't respond. She watched as Kazemi's hands moved through the air, conducting an invisible orchestra. The Defiance wove through impossible gaps, using the gravitational pull of larger asteroids to slingshot forward. Where the collective vessel had powered through with brute technological force, the Defiance danced. When they emerged on the other side of the field, the elapsed time was displayed for all to see. The Defiance had beaten the Eternal Harmony by 12 seconds. Silence fell across all communication channels. The second challenge was a combat simulation using non-lethal energy markers. The objective: disable the opponent's primary systems without causing catastrophic damage. The collective deployed their second vessel, the Precise Retribution. It was a weapon in ship form, every surface bristling with targeting systems and energy projectors arranged in mathematically optimal patterns. Earth responded with the Xuang, its battle-scarred hull making the alien vessel look even more intimidating by comparison. Commander Lin Wei stood at the command position, her twin brother Lai at the weapons console. Their controversial quantum communication system allowed them to coordinate with near telepathic efficiency, a biological advantage rather than a technological one. The Precise Retribution attacked with a flawless barrage of energy markers, targeting the Xuang's critical systems in what should have been a decisive first strike. But the Chinese vessel wasn't where the targeting computers predicted. It had moved, not by much, just enough to transform direct hits into glancing blows. "Impossible," came the collective commander's voice. "Your vessel's reaction time exceeds human capabilities." The White Twins didn't respond verbally. They didn't need to. Their synchronized movements guided the Xuang through a series of maneuvers that defied conventional naval tactics. Where the collective expected linear thinking, they encountered something organic, almost intuitive. The Xuang's return fire seemed haphazard at first. Energy markers launched at seemingly random intervals and trajectories. But there was a pattern hidden in the chaos, one that the collective's predictive algorithms couldn't decipher. The markers struck the Precise Retribution systems in a cascade effect, each hit amplifying the impact of the next. In 7 minutes, the alien vessel's primary systems were disabled. "Your tactics were unorthodox," the collective representative acknowledged, the first note of uncertainty entering that perfect voice. The final challenge was a crisis response scenario. The collective created a simulated situation. A neutron star on the verge of collapse, with a space station caught in its gravitational pull. The objective was to stabilize the situation and rescue the station's inhabitants before catastrophic failure. The collective deployed their third vessel, the Inevitable Conclusion, a marvel of engineering specifically designed for cosmic-scale interventions. Earth responded with the Kilimanjaro, the experimental African Union ship whose propulsion system had been deemed too unpredictable for regular service. Dr. Kwame Osei stood proudly on the Kilimanjaro's bridge. For years, his adaptive entropy engine had been dismissed as too theoretical, too dependent on human intuition rather than consistent output. Now it would face its greatest test. The Inevitable Conclusion approached the neutron star with confidence, deploying a series of perfect energy fields to create a temporary containment bubble. Their approach was methodical, precise, and textbook perfect. Then the simulation parameters unexpectedly changed. A solar flare introduced a variable that neither side had anticipated. The collective vessel hesitated. Its perfect plan disrupted. It needed to recalculate, to run new simulations before acting. The Kilimanjaro did not hesitate. Dr. Osei's adaptive entropy engine was designed for exactly this type of chaos. Instead of fighting against the unpredictable energy patterns, it incorporated them, using the solar flare's own momentum to strengthen the containment field around the neutron star. What your species fails to understand, the collective representative transmitted as their vessel struggled to adapt, is that perfection is the ultimate achievement. Your improvisation is merely a stopgap for inadequate preparation. Captain Rodriguez, observing from the Defiance, opened a channel to all vessels, both human and alien. "What you fail to understand," she replied, "is that perfection is static. Evolution requires imperfection, requires failure, requires adaptation." As the Kilimanjaro successfully stabilized the neutron star and rescued the simulated station crew, something unprecedented happened. The collective representatives requested an in-person meeting, not with Earth's political leaders or scientific elite, but with the 3-ship crews. Hours later, in a neutral meeting facility established on an aircraft carrier in the Pacific, Captain Rodriguez faced the primary collective representative. Up close, its shifting form was even more unsettling, but something had changed in its demeanor. "Your vessels are inferior," it stated. "Your technology is primitive. By every objective measure, we should have prevailed." "Technology isn't just about perfection," Rodriguez replied. "It's about the relationship between the tool and its user. You built perfect machines that require perfect circumstances. We built imperfect machines that adapt to imperfect circumstances." The representative was silent for a moment, its form rippling with what might have been consideration. "For 50,000 years, it finally said, the collective has encountered species that either fear us or attempt to imitate us. You are the first to neither cower nor conform." "That's kind of our thing," Rodriguez said with a small smile. "The purpose of our challenge was not what you were led to believe," the representative continued. "We did not come to evaluate whether humanity deserves to join the galactic community. We came because the galactic community needs humanity." A murmur ran through the assembled crews. "Perfection," the representative explained, "has become our limitation. For millennia, we have optimized, refined, and perfected our technology, our societies, our very thoughts. And in doing so, we have lost something essential: the capacity to evolve beyond our programming." It gestured toward the 3 Earth vessels visible through the carrier's viewing ports. "Your ships are flawed. Your methods are chaotic. Your thinking is wildly inefficient, and yet you adapt in ways we cannot predict or replicate." Rodriguez looked at her fellow captains, Commander Lin Wei of the Xuying and Dr. Quaim Osi of the Kilimanjaro. Each had been chosen not for their adherence to standard protocols, but for their willingness to think beyond them. "We don't fear the unknown," Rodriguez said. "We embrace it." "Precisely," the representative agreed. "And that is why the collective proposes not an assimilation of Earth into our community, but a partnership. We have much to teach you about the universe, but you, it seems, have much to teach us about adaptation." As the sun set over the Pacific, humanity faced a future none had anticipated. Not as subordinates to a superior cosmic civilization, nor as rejected primitives left to develop in isolation, but as essential partners in the continued evolution of intelligent life. When asked later what had made her choose those particular ships and crews, Captain Maya Rodriguez would simply smile and say, "The collective expected us to impress them with perfection. I chose to impress them with humanity instead."